So, man, let's talk about the Houston Texans. So, last year, late down the stretch, late in the season, Davis Mills looked really good. And I thought Davis Mills was going to be the future quarterback for this team. I said, give him a year. They fired Tim Kelly. They bring in Pep Hamilton to be the offensive coordinator. And they fire Dave Culley. And they bring in Lovie Smith to be the head coach. And when I look at Davis Mills now, he has regressed a lot. He looks like how he should have looked his rookie season. You know, I don't know if it's the play calling solely and it's not helping from Pep Hamilton, but I'm extremely underwhelmed by both of these guys. Now, obviously, the future of this team is going to be drafting a quarterback, whether it's C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. Should be Bryce Young. But this Houston Texans team got a lot of things to clean up, and they need a lot of movement on this team. For one, I'm going to really start off with Davis Mills before I get into the rest of the team. Pep Hamilton was a quarterback's coach. He's been with guys like Peyton Manning, Justin Herbert, Andrew Luck. All these guys have been huge success stories in the NFL. So we know he's a good quarterback's coach. This is one of those situations to where I say some people should just be a positions coach, maybe not a coordinator or a head coach. Because right now the play calling offensively looks worse than it did with Tim Kelly. Tim Kelly was a bad offensive coordinator, yet when I look at what Pep Hamilton's doing, and it hurts my heart to say this, doesn't look good. He's an awesome quarterback's coach. Right now, for this first season, he's been a terrible offensive coordinator. I think that you should give him one more year to see how it will go with a new quarterback, and whether it's a Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud, but you have to be completely careful because you don't want him to ruin that quarterback. Davis Mills is not a horrible quarterback to kick out the NFL, but he's not good enough to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, and we're seeing that right now. He's a backup quarterback. He's good enough to come in for a couple of games. He can get you a couple of games over the hump. I don't think that Davis Mills has that superstar trait. We saw him play well at the end of last year. I was on the hype train. I was wrong. I'm hopping off the hype train. Maybe if you put better pieces around him, because let's be completely honest with you, Brandon Cooks is a good wide receiver. You're going to have to move off of him. I'm going to get to that in just a second. But you got him, Nico Collins, and Dameon Pierce. And the play calling isn't doing any favors. But he looked better last year. So maybe the Houston Texans can trade him for a late round pick, and maybe a team that take a flyer out on him, because we know how people are with quarterbacks in the NFL. They're weird with them. They think that they can salvage some of them. But after seeing what the Carolina Panthers did and what they did with just rolling the dice on quarterbacks and not working out, it may be best for teams to just draft a quarterback like the Houston Texans should do. This team needs to make substantial movements, whether it's getting rid of Brandon Cooks off of this team, and because Brandon Cooks obviously doesn't want to be on the Houston Texans anymore. It was a whole debacle about them trying to trade him to the Dallas Cowboys, the Cowboys listening to him, but they didn't want to make a move for $18 million off of that 1 year alone because Brandon Cooks signed an extension, and they removed him from being a captain because he missed a Thursday night game against the Philadelphia Eagles because of personal issues, quote unquote. He wanted to be traded, and he was upset, and he took to Twitter. He made some type of cryptic tweet. Listen, he knew what he was getting himself into when they gave him the 2-year deal. The Houston Texans knew they were getting themselves into when they gave him the 2-year deal. It's good for the player. It's bad for the team because it's so much of a cap hit. So after this year, you should be able to move him. You have a good receiver and a good building block in Nico Collins, who was good last year, who continues to be good this year. Solid wide receiver, solid young wide receiver in his second year. And then you have a guy in Dameon Pierce who was Marshawn Lynch 2.0. This guy's in the finish within top 5 of rushing yards after this season for sure. So you have him, good power back. You can work off of him. Finally, Lovie Smith has seen the bright spot that you just have him on the field for almost the entire game because he could be a third down back for you. Rex Burkhead is not it. I also question his coaching staff as well. Lovie Smith is not the future head coach of this team. They looked better last year with Coach Culley than they look this year with Lovie Smith. They look unprepared, look unbuttoned up. He is a defensive guru, quote unquote, and yet the defense is worse this year than it was last year. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. Derek Stingley Jr. is wildly inconsistent, but that is something that you expected because he was inconsistent coming out of college. And a lot of people said, why didn't they pick up Miles Sauce Gardner? It looks bad. Derek Stingley Jr. fits Lovie Smith's defense better than the Miles Sauce Gardner fits. So that explains a lot. So their young pieces have been wildly inconsistent. The offensive line still needs work. It still needs tune-up work. But yet you have guys on this team like Laramie Tunsil, good player, and a guy like Brandon Cook, also another good player. making a lot of money. Do you keep him? Do you move off of him when a rookie quarterback comes in? And you want to try to make that rookie quarterback's life easier by keeping veterans around him. Now, obviously, there's going to be some people that stay on this team, but there's going to be a lot of movement as well. You already got rid of Jack Easterby out of the front office. And the thing is with this Houston Texans team, the Deshaun Watson trade could be his biggest blessing or it could be his biggest curse. Deshaun Watson was a legit franchise quarterback, and a lot of people thought that they had their quarterback moving forward, but he wanted to move off of the team, and we know what he dealt with in the offseason, so he traded to the Cleveland Browns for a plethora of first-round picks. So that's a great move. Yet again, if you're not able to draft and hit on your draft picks, that trade can blow up in your face very quickly. Right now, the Cleveland Browns aren't that good because Deshaun Watson is serving out an 11-game suspension. So that pick may be high. It may be a top 15 first-round pick. So you can have 2 picks within the top 15. Your own pick and then the Browns pick. And more than likely, the Houston Texans will finish with the first overall pick this year because they are the worst team in the league. Their offense is horrible and their defense is horrible and their special teams isn't any better. So what is that recipe for? First overall pick. So you can get a guy like a Bryce Young or a CJ Stroud. Really should be a Bryce Young, and try to start over with a brand new quarterback and start over with a brand new coach and maybe offensive coordinator as well. The thing is with Pep Hamilton, I'm very questionable if you get rid of him or not after being an offensive coordinator for 1 year because of his success rate with quarterbacks after being a quarterback's coach. I believe they should have got someone else to be the offensive coordinator and let him still be a quarterback's coach. Maybe another team would have went out there and tried to get him as an offensive coordinator, but you could have paid him more money as a quarterback's coach. So that's going to be weird there to see how that develops. But I am just underwhelmed by this offense as a whole. I thought Davis Mills was going to try to at least be better, look more competent on the field. It's a lot of missed throws in games to where it's not even play calling. Play calling does them no favors because they rarely ever take deep shots. And when they do, Davis Mills either overshoots it or he's scrambling across the field. He's trying to make a play and he throws the ball to another defender. And before you get on here and say, well, the team around Davis Mills is bad. Yeah, the team is bad, but he's not elevating the players around him. The problem is with Davis Mills, it's a lot of dumb mistakes that he makes. There's a lot of dumb interception that he throws. And there's a lot of missed timing throws that he makes as well. He's not in that same rhythm that he was at the late last year. So that hurts as well. The Houston Texans have to make some moves sooner than later. You can't make any moves now, but in the offseason, you got to make a lot of moves, whether it's going to free agency, trying to get some guys to come to the team, trying to rebuild from there, and just trying to get your core pieces in the draft. You have 4 first-round picks over the next 2 years, and you have them from the Cleveland Browns, so it's going to help out a lot as well. I just really I think that the future could be bright for this team, but it could also be dim. I'm not trying to paint you this bright picture like the Houston Texans know what they're doing, because the last couple of years, let's be completely honest, it's been bad. It has been bad for the Houston Texans. It's the reason why they had the 3rd overall pick this year with Derek Stingley Jr. It's the reason why this team is constantly having high first-round picks, because they don't know what the hell they're doing. And the first thing they need to do is figure out this quarterback situation, and they need to realize Davis Mills is not the guy. So let me know in the comment section. Do you think Davis Mills is salvageable? Do you think he's the guy? I really do believe this, though. If you have an opportunity to trade Davis Mills for a late-round pick, whether that's a 5th or a 6th-round pick, do it. Because if you're drafting a rookie quarterback, there's no need to have Davis Mills on your team at all. Let another team try to develop him more, or let another team try to do some things like that with him, while you can just get a late-round pick for the guy. Do that, and you could, because you're not going to get a 2nd or a 1st-round pick for Brandon Cooks. I heard that's what the GM was asking for. That's absurd at this point. You're not going to get equal value for a player that you traded for. The Houston Texans made a mistake by trading for Brandon Cooks, and not only just trading for him, for paying him the amount of money that they paid him. You know, they tried to get like a DeAndre Hopkins situation there. You know, they tried to redeem themselves for the DeAndre Hopkins situation, and it just didn't work out. They're still wreaking the downfall of that trade as well. So terrible decision to set this franchise back, but I think that they can be on the course to get things right. And getting rid of Jack Easterby was the first thing, and hiring a brand new head coach may be doing that as well. So let me know in the comment section how you feel about the Houston Texans moving forward. Do you think Davis Mills is the guy? They got to go with Bryce Young, in my opinion. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, each and every last one, you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace.